Hello, gem hunter. Can you tell me if there are any gems on your land? Well, if you don't have one, let's say you've been to your grandfather's farm or even a campground that's open to the public. Depending on the size of the area, the fact is that there may be gems there, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. How you can find out if there are gems in your area. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I used to love to go gemstone hunting with my dad. I had a huge collection of stones of all kinds and colors that I had no idea what they were at the time. Many people would like to look for gemstones, but in the end, they don't develop this therapeutic and healthy hobby, which keeps you in touch with nature because they don't know how. But if you don't know, there is a step-by-step guide you can follow. This is because each type of stone has its own clues, which are the minerals that accompany gemstones. They can be broken stones, fragments, or rolled stones, which can be half-rounded or half naturally polished, typical of stones found in rivers. Even if you didn't find it in a river, you may come across a half-rounded stone. This means that it has already suffered the wear and tear of time. It has been moving around in nature for a long time, and it could also be that there was a river or stream there thousands of years ago, even if it is dry ground.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that, popped right up.
Starting with the first step, which is to look for mineral indicators of gems and not directly for gems. Then you should look for and collect several samples of rocks and minerals from everything in the area you're looking for, take them home, clean them, and then try to identify the minerals and stones you've collected. This is an excellent start, especially for those who want to start this hobby, especially if you want to know what kind of gemstone you might find there, because each stone has a different type of indication, as you'll see in a moment. This kind of work is called prospecting, so to be successful in your initial analysis, you need to take a sample of everything on the ground, or if it's very large stones that you can't take home, take a photo so you can compare them. If you have a very large area and you notice different materials, try separating the samples into buckets or small pots. The second step is to clean the samples you've collected. To make this process easier, you can use water to remove excess soil from all of your samples. Once you've done this, you'll find that some rocks may have inclusions of rust or clay that won't come off easily. In some cases, you can use muriatic acid to clean them. This product is easy to find at cleaning supply stores. But don't worry if you don't have it, you can just use soap and water. The important thing is to get everything clean. Once you have cleaned it, you will be able to identify these minerals, because in the middle of a simple prospecting like this, it is unlikely that there is any precious material, even if there are precious stones in your region, but there is still that possibility. So don't throw away your samples without knowing what they are. And although it's a broader and more complex subject, the stones you've collected can basically come from three types of rock, and it's on that basis that you should sort them out. Most of these stones are quartz or quartzite. They're called pebbles. But there can be gems in these stones, so it's good to analyze them separately. Finally, you may have found ores that are a little more difficult to identify because they are almost all very similar. They tend to be dark in color, slightly metallic, quite heavy, and generally used for some industrial purpose. Now on to the identification itself. If you've never done this before, it might take a while, and that's normal. But if you really want to know if there are gems in the area, this is the best way to do it. You can even download some apps to help you do this. And a very good tip I want to give you is to download the Rock Identifier app on your phone. You can download it from the Play Store or the Apple Store. It's a paid app, but you can use it for free for 3 or 7 days. With this app, all you have to do is take a good picture of the rock you want to identify. Of course, it's not a completely accurate tool, but it gets it right in most cases. So it will help you a lot, especially if you're a beginner. Just take good photos and it will help you identify most minerals in seconds. Now that you know how to collect, clean, and identify your minerals, we come to the fourth step, which is to get to know the minerals that are most closely associated with certain gemstones so that you can learn to identify them. But come on, see if the materials you've brought in contain mica or malachite. Mica is those little plates that look like plastic scales. It's reflective, kind of metallic and pearly. Some can be very small, some even turn into a powder mixed with the earth, and some people even confuse them with gold. They can have different colors, and each color of mica has a different name. But what you need to know now is that if you found micas or malacachitas, it's a good indication that there may be precious stones in your area. If the micas are larger, the chances increase. And if the mica has a golden or greenish color, for example, this is one of the signs that diamonds may be present in the area. Another rock that's easy to identify is granite. All you have to do is look for granite formations in your area. Pegmatite is another mineral that looks a little like granite, but it's a little different. Have you ever seen those little grains inside of granite? Well, that's pegmatite, only it's a little bit bigger. The grains are actually much larger. They can be up to 3 centimeters in size. Depending on your region, you can find a very large wall of this mineral. And if you find mica in addition to granite and pegmatite, the chances of finding precious stones are much higher. Another element that can be found along with pegmatite is shale, a metallic grayish material that crumbles easily in the hand. If you find shale, malachite, pegmatite, and granite in the region, and these minerals, there's a good chance you'll also find stones such as tourmalines of various colors, aquamarines, topaz, morganites, garnets, and some other precious stones. So keep an eye out for these details. But if the stones you found are like that, rounded like river stones, or even taken from a river, look for heavy stones. I mean stones that are heavier than ordinary stones of the same size. That's because most of the rolled stones are quartz, which is generally worthless. But among them, you can find precious stones that are generally heavier than quartz, which is the case with rubies, sapphires, diamonds, garnets, topazes, and emeralds. If you compare these gemstones to quartz of the same size, you'll find that they are much heavier. So any stone that is heavier than normal can be suspected of being a gemstone. Another important tip is to look for dark stones, such as ilmenite and chromite, which are derived from an iron ore. They look like a small piece of metal, a small piece of graphite, and are usually extremely heavy stones. Also look for garnets, these little reddish, brownish, kind of dark stones, usually in the shape of a marble, usually found in rivers. Garnets, if they are of a good size and have a good red color, can also be worth a lot of money. But because they are quite heavy, they can be a strong indication that the region also contains diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. So keep an eye out for these small stones that are often found in rivers. Since garnet is a heavy stone that can accumulate in certain places in rivers, diamonds, rubies, and sapphires can also accumulate in the same places. So the secret is simple. If you really want to know if there are gemstones in the area, you have to go into the field, take samples, collect the material, clean it, and identify it. Remember that each gem has its own clue, so we can also go the other way, and here's the 5th step to help you identify the gems. You may find it difficult to identify minerals at first. Then you can simply take a gemstone, say tourmaline, and find out what evidence there is for tourmaline in the area. That way you'll know if the minerals you found are indicative of tourmaline. You can do the same with various other stones, aquamarines, diamonds, emeralds. You can find out what the indications are for each of these minerals and compare them to the minerals you've found. This will make it easier for you to experiment with your area to see if it might be an area that has an indication for one of these gems. But luckily for you, we've already made several specific videos on how to find most of these gemstones and what the indications are for each of them. Everything is very detailed in the videos with everything you need to look for in the region to find each type of gemstone. Everything I've said here has been summarized. It's step by step. You go to the site, pick up the material, take it home, wash it, separate it by type, identify it, and then find out what type of mineral it might be. What's more, if you want to go even deeper without having to research each individual stone, you can find all the gemstones tabulated with their respective characteristics in our Gemology for Beginners digital book. It also helps to support our gemstone channel. So if you like gemstones and want to learn more about them, check out this video. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Good luck, gem hunters!